Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to fine-tune your PMDG 777. So I've noticed takeoff with the PMDG 777 can sometimes be a bit difficult as the plane won't rotate. I've heard in the community that other users have the same problem. I'm not sure what the reason for the problem is because I actually think I set up my airplane correctly for takeoff. So let's look at the takeoff settings. I've set up a flight from New York to London. Here's the flight management system, which is navigating to the takeoff center of gravity indication in the payload section. And there you can see that takeoff center of gravity is 31.5%. So that's the PMDG internal setting. So these are my takeoff settings. This has all been populated and you can see the trim setting is 6, which I have now selected accordingly. Flaps set to 15. And now let's have a look at the in-sim weight settings. You can see the center of gravity here is at 21.7. And let's just perform a takeoff with these settings without me changing anything there. So we've reached V-rotate and I'm slightly pulling the yoke back. But the nose takes too long to lift off. As far as I understand in real life, a slight pull to the yoke should make the aircraft lift off and I shouldn't have to pull hard. So let's do another takeoff now where I slightly change those settings. Don't set it to the PMDG value, that'll be too much. You basically have to set the in-sim center of gravity about 5 digits higher to what it is. Re-rotate. You can see liftoff is now much smoother and just as it should be in real life. So at the moment with all my takeoffs that's how I do it, because I would like it to feel realistic. So let's now talk about rudder sensitivity. You may have realized that it can be really hard to keep the PMDG 777 on the center line during takeoff and landing. And I think that's because the default PMDG rudder settings are too sensitive. If you look at the control settings, you'll have to click on sensitivity. And this is how it should look like. This is not the default setting, this is my setting. So you would need to adjust your sensitivity settings from default to make it look like this, which is changing those two levers to something like around 58 or 60 or 65, whatever you prefer. The default curve looks like this, but it's got to be a soft curve, not a straight line. Only then your rudder settings are appropriately sensitive. You should also have a dead zone to make sure that minimal rudder movements don't have an impact. So let's now make a takeoff with these settings. You can see it's still not easy to hold the plane on the center line, however the new settings make it much easier than before. Let's now set it to the default settings. And let's make a takeoff with the default settings. And I'm really struggling to keep it on the center line now. You see the rudder impacts are quite strong. And that shouldn't be the case. So that's my suggestion, just play around with your sensitivity settings to weaken the rudder impact. Next, I've had issues with pushback using GSX. We're at the gate here ready for pushback. The chocks are on as they would be in real life. The jetway has been removed and all the doors have been closed and armed. The parking brake in this situation is in the released position because we're still using the chocks. Beacon lights are on. And I think in real life the procedure is that you now need to set the parking brake before you release the chocks. By the way, I'm using the simple parking brake simulation. I've struggled with the realistic settings, so I just went back to simple. Now that we've set the parking brake, we will remove the chocks. And I'm calling the pushback truck now via GSX. The truck has docked. I'm picking the direction. And then it starts pushing. And I'm not sure if you've observed this, but the nose gear seems to be jumping up and down constantly. This effect is sometimes much stronger than what you can see here now. So if you have that problem, one possible solution may be, and I'm not sure if it's going to work for you, but if you have that problem, try not setting your parking brake. I found that setting the parking brake and then releasing it can lead to this problem. So instead of setting your parking brake when releasing the chocks, just leave your parking brake released. Let the truck push you back. There are a few other strange things that GSX does. For example, if you don't remove your chocks, the pushback truck will dock, but it'll never tell you to release the parking brakes and it'll never push you back. So you need to release the chocks for the pushback process to work. Okay, finally let's talk about sound. Sound is very important to me, and I think the default PMDG sounds still need improvement. In the exterior view in front of the engine, it currently sounds like this. Behind the engine, it sounds like this. Inside the cockpit, it sounds like this. And in the passenger view, it sounds like this. Thankfully, we have a software studio called FTSim Plus, who have dedicated themselves to developing high-quality flight simulator sound packs. You can find them here on their website, and in order to download the PMDG 777 sound pack, you need to click through the menu, and you reach this page. So this is not where you can download it. You will have to go to their Patreon website. There is a free version, but I recommend you go for the full version. So you would need to go to Patreon. In order to download it from Patreon, you need to become a member of FTSim Plus. The slightly surprising thing about FTSim Plus is that they don't always accept new members. There are certain months where they don't accept new members, so you'll have to wait for a month where you can join. This current month is unfortunately not a month where you can join, so you would need to come back next month. And even members apparently cannot download the sound packs in months where you cannot become a member. So I'm a member, but I currently can't download it, so you'll just have to wait till the next month. And this is your sound pack once you've downloaded it. That's the file. That's how it looks like inside. This file needs to be dropped in your community folder. This is the README that gives you the instructions of how to install it. After dropping it in your community folder, you need to take one more step, which is making changes to the PMDG layout JSON file. And you'll need to look for sound.xml. And you need to remove this section of the PMDG 777 layout JSON file. You'll have to do this whenever you update your PMDG 777 because it resets the layout JSON file. So to do that, you go into your PMDG 777 file, you find the sound XML, and you need to make sure that you delete the exact right section, just like here. And that's it. Now going back to the simulator, this is now how the sounds sound like with the FTSim Plus sound pack. And I think it's really very different and much better. Alright, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time.